I'm Dana Cowley. Welcome to Charter Local Edition Northwest. Today we're in Olympia and we're covering the 2016 legislative session. My guest today is Norm Johnson. He's our 14th District Representative from Yakima. Norm, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Dana.
You're here to talk about the people in our community that need the most support, the people that are most vulnerable. Why is that so important to you?
Well, you know, I think as legislators we have a charge, and that's to take care of the most vulnerable among us. And I can't think of anybody that's more vulnerable than that group of people who are so severely disabled, developmentally disabled, that is. And in the state of Washington, we have 4 RHCs, which are residential habilitation centers. And we have one in my neighboring district, which is the 15th district, but we also have one in Shoreline, one in Buckley, and one at Medical Lake called Lakeland Village.
Yeah, and the one in nearby you is in Sela.
Yes, the Yakima Valley School at Sela.
Now, you're concerned about a push to shut these down. What's the motivation behind cutting funding for that?
Well,
they've been there a long time.
It's been a movement, and not just here in the state, but also I recall in Indiana, where they want to move everybody out into community settings. And I think that that's a laudable idea, but when you take the most severely disabled, they take a great deal of specialized care, and that's very, very true of the folks that are in our 4 RHCs.
Well, what can be done to preserve these centers and keep the funding going? What
I
efforts
think
are you making?
You know, probably the people from home need to realize that there is a movement afoot to do this, and in some cases maybe we could do some consolidation, and but I don't want to see them, and I think there are a great many people here that don't want to see them all closed. Yeah,
that doesn't make sense if you've got folks that really need constant care. And I do think as a society and as a government, we are responsible to take care of our people that are most vulnerable. It doesn't make a lot of sense to put them out into the community because that might be something that's better done for people with more abilities.
That's right, and that's what we need to do. You know, I think there was a movement many years ago where if you had a child that was developmentally disabled, regardless of what the rate might be, they were put into institutions. And of course, none of us subscribe to that. But we do need places for the most vulnerable, the totally developmentally disabled folks that we have in the community. People who can't feed themselves, can't swallow, are fed by tubes, that are non-communicable, and folks that just almost have to have one-on-one care. And if you visit one of these, they have cottages, and usually there's 1 or 2 adults, workers for the state, that are taking care of a few of these folks.
And then they have some companionship and some steady care, and
That's
that
right.
Helps alleviate some of the loneliness. I think as a person who pays my taxes very willingly, and I'm always appreciative of how my tax dollars are used when they're used wisely, that's certainly something I think my tax dollars should go for.
Well, and I agree. And you know, we also in these facilities have what we call respite beds. So if an individual is in the community with their families in some instances, and the family wants to take a vacation, they can bring their child to one of these facilities for what we call respite care.
Oh, that's a nice touch.
It is, and they're well taken care of by people who are trained to take care of the severely developmentally disabled.
Well, and that can be such a huge burden on a family because, you know, when you have a child with severe disabilities, that's for a lifetime.
Absolutely.
And that becomes so exhausting to their primary family and caregivers, and people do need a break. You know,
and you're so
right,
Dana, because when
rest.
I go to the parent meetings in Sela, for example, what I see are parents that are aging.
Yes.
That aren't able to take care of their child in a setting, a community setting. And they need to be taken care of by professional people. I mean, I'm talking parents that are in their 80s.
Sure.
And
Time
because
passes.
their children have been in these facilities for such a long time, and they're pleased with the way they're taken care of. I've never heard one complaint against one of our RHCs.
No, and they've been around as many years as I've been in news, and I don't recall that either.
That's right.
So.
You know, and of course, I suppose I'm a little prejudiced, but the one in Sela is probably in the best condition of any of them, because it was originally a tuberculosis hospital, and it was totally remodeled here a few years ago. And then the cottages are outside in groups around the bigger building. And we do have a situation that's occurring in Yakima and Sela, is that comprehensive mental health is going to take one floor to work with people with severe mental health problems.
Well, Norm, I wish you the best of luck with
Well,
these
thank you.
efforts. And thank you for taking time to speak with us.
Well,
and
thank
we
you.
thank you for watching. This is Charter Local Edition Northwest in Olympia.